Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the program today, the tears of Tabor and water issues. Randi Thompson has the rundown.
Well, we have Senator Bob Beers from Las Vegas, and we have the Education Chairman, Maurice Washington.
On the Power Pundit panel today, Kirsten, Searer, Liz MacMenamin, and Martha Gould. It's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the world's largest industrial park, the resort at Red Hawk, and the Peppermill family of casinos.
High-tech companies demand perfect world amenities. They require clean, reliable power, state-of-the-art fiber optic communications, and clean water sources. In a perfect world, companies would have immediate access to rail and interstate freeways. There would be 4-lane expressways that shorten shipping times and provide convenient commute routes for valued employees. Well, the future is now, and it's here. Welcome to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the largest industrial park in the world, building economic prosperity for Nevadans.
Since its creation more than a decade ago, the Southern Nevada Water Authority has focused on 3 goals: preserving water quality, improving water conservation in Southern Nevada, and meeting the community's current and future water needs. Through thoughtful planning, responsible management, and collaboration, it's succeeding. As we move into the 21st century, the authority continues to embrace sustainable water development and efficient water use. That's our promise to Nevada.
Materials we rely on every day come from the ground, and modern mining technology brings them to us cleaner and safer than ever before. To learn more about America's natural resources, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
I tell you, John, this industry has really changed.
Tell me about it.
You seemed to do pretty well last year. What's your secret?
No secrets. Although I'll tell you something. The smartest thing I did was sign up with Pro Group Management.
Really? Yeah, they do workers' comp, right?
Yeah, their services are great. And get this, they saved me 30%. I've heard they saved others 50%.
That works for me.
Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
This is a special edition of Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
Back on Nevada Newsmakers, we welcome one of our favorite guests of the program, State Senator Bob Beers. Pleasure to have you here.
Good morning.
Let's start out with what happened to Tabor. Are you disappointed?
A little bit, but it's almost expected. You know, no legislative body has ever passed a taxpayer's Bill of Rights. And you know, let's understand what this does. This says that the legislature gets to decide how to spend an ever-increasing normal rate of government growth. But that surplus growth in revenue at or above population growth plus inflation, is reserved to the people to decide. And if the people decide that they want to spend it, they can decide that. It's done by a vote, and the default behavior is for that excess surplus revenue to be refunded to the taxpayers, because all of the government's money is the taxpayers. It doesn't belong to the government. The government is of the people.
What do you say about Senator Raj who says, well, you know, if you have this, you know, you don't need the legislature, and that it works fine when you have, you know, excess revenues, but when problems crop up, you can't respond quickly enough because you got to go to a vote of the people.
Well, I think what we're seeing in Colorado is that you can respond quickly enough. There, unlike Nevada, where we didn't really suffer. In fact, interestingly enough, we were one of the best off states with 9/11. Yes, we hurt, but compared to other states, we didn't hurt very much. One of 2 states where our revenue actually increased at the government level during the year that included 9/11. So in Colorado, theirs plummeted. In addition, a year before 9/11, their voters had passed an unfunded initiative to increase K-12 spending over 10 years' time. Unfunded. Now, a couple things. First of all, Colorado's revenue is geared to personal income, which is why it plummeted. Ours is geared to population growth plus inflation. Our revenue, mind you, sales tax, property tax, it's the most stable revenue structure in America, really. One of only 2 states this side of the Mississippi whose revenue didn't go down after September 11th. So with that in mind, we're not likely to experience the big downturn in revenue that Colorado, a 10% drop in revenue that Colorado did. Plus, our initiative section of our Constitution requires that any initiative that requires spending also be funded in the initiative. So we can't pass the kind of thing that Colorado did, which said just spend, I don't care where you get it. Now, in addition, what's going on in Colorado is because of that 10% downturn in revenue, they now have a ballot question this fall that says, okay, voters, we've had this happen. We would like to keep and spend $150 million of our surplus revenue per year for the next 5 years to catch up. And the voters will say that sounds good or that doesn't sound good. It's perfectly allowed within Tabor. There's no movement afoot, although you'll hear the liberals say there is, to gut Tabor or do away with Tabor.
Well, that liberal Senator Washoe said that the governor, who was a huge proponent of Tabor, wants to have it suspended for 5 years.
Yeah.
That's incorrect information. I'd be happy to sit down with Senator Washoe and show him what's going on in Colorado. They're not suspending Tabor. They're simply asking voters, which is allowed under Tabor, we would like to spend the surplus for the next 5 years. Will you let us? And ultimately, Colorado's government is bigger than it was last year, which was bigger than it was the year before. It's just not allowed to jump right back up as if they'd never had the downturn in revenue.
So now you're looking forward to the petition? You think that will actually happen?
I'm certain that it will happen. Am I looking forward to it? About like I look forward to a legislative session. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work,
but you're planning
somebody's
on it at
got
this
to
point.
do it.
Yes.
Oh, I'm absolutely planning on it.
Okay. Well, now we are looking at a surplus this year, and you actually came out in December with a $100 vehicle rebate. Did the governor steal your idea?
After this is my 4th term legislating, and I believe that there are no original ideas in government.
Yeah.
So no, the government didn't steal that idea any more than I stole it from the guy before me. There's there's ideas floating around, and you pick out the ones that sound the best.
Well, what sounds the best right now for getting money back to the voters?
Absolutely, a rebate.
Even more than the tax holiday.
DMV, the tax holiday is a little problematic. What you're going to do with the tax holiday is, let's say that retail sales were going to go like this. What's going to happen is they're going to be suppressed for a month before the day. Then they're going to pop up, and then they're going to go back down. You're going to get the net same sales effect. The things you can buy it, so there's no economic benefit to it. The things you can buy it on, that you can take it on, are limited. You have to have money to get taxes back because you have to spend money to get taxes back.
But it's not limited if you guys haven't limited it yet. You haven't created it
Both
yet.
of the proposals that are out there, it's very, very limited. It's not just limited, it's very, very limited.
Yeah, the school supplies and stuff.
And you give money back to tourists.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to change subjects on you. The Gibbons campaign put out a poll on the governor's race, and I was quite surprised to see that A, that they had thrown you in there, and B, that you only showed up in single digits. Did that surprise you?
Yes and no. Oh, you're not supposed to do yes, no answers.
So it's nice to
You
hear that.
can, but it makes for a really boring show.
Yes, I am surprised they threw me in there. No, I'm not surprised that I only showed up in single digits because I'm not running.
But Chuck Muth has got you the website, and we hear he's moving back into the state to run your campaign.
I will tell you that I've had a number of people contact me over the last 2 months suggest that I should consider running.
Okay.
I've not. Right now, my job is a good 75-hour-a-week job to try to make sure that we preserve taxpayer resources up here in Carson City, that we don't spend our money on anything foolish, and above all, that we don't spend surplus dollars hiring people, thus causing future crises.
And you're only going to spend 75 hours a week on that? I think it's a bigger job than that. Bob Beers, you're always welcome on the program. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
For a videotape copy of any Nevada Newsmakers program, call 775-857-2244. The tapes are $20 each, including shipping.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years.
When you need a new employee, how can you be sure who you're really hiring? A background investigation by Employer Links will uncover criminal records, verify the applicant's education, check their credit history and Social Security verification. An investigation will research professional licenses and driver's licenses and let you know why they're unemployed. Hiring the right person shouldn't be a gamble. Call Employer Links. Employer Links, protecting your investment.
Reno's best dining values are all at one casino, the Pepper Mill. You can enjoy great savings on our popular specials. Pepper Mill's coffee shop offers daily lunch specials, low-carb dining, and all your favorite comfort foods. You'll find sensational lunch specials featuring Reno's freshest seafood, sushi, pasta, and more at Oceano. And early bird specials at Reno's Premier Steakhouse and Romanza Ristorante Italiano. The best values are at the Pepper Mill. Where are you dining?
Your best value in sight is here for you to see. From frames to lenses to eye exams, you're covered A to Z. Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
Davis Optical Centers, with 2 locations in Reno and Sparks.
Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
Back on Nevada Newsmakers, we welcome to the program State Senator Maurice Washington. Pleasure to have you here as always.
Thanks, Sam.
Last week in an education committee, you went after the teachers union
I did.
For the lawsuit that they and others filed against the Bush administration for No Child Left Behind. How do you feel that act is helping Nevada students?
I think No Child Left Behind is doing very well in Nevada. I think our congressional delegation has worked very diligently in making sure that we get the funding that we need, the flexibility, especially in the rural communities, making sure that we have access to the president and getting the administration in to answer questions. So I'm very optimistic, and it is closing the achievement gap between minority students and those Hispanic students that are moving into the state.
But even the education department is looking at making massive changes to this act to make it work better.
Well, yeah, of course, it's fluid and it's flexible, and you have to make changes because each state is different from one another. So you have to deal with the issues that confront you at that given point in time.
But several states, including Nevada, got more money from the Fed under this act.
Absolutely.
And part of the lawsuit was saying that it was an unfunded mandate. That's really not correct.
That's not correct. And Doug Thunder, I don't know where he got his information from, but we did get more money from the No Child Left Behind. We had the administration come in and explain to us where the money is coming from. Where we used to have programs where you had to do this, and this, they actually lumped them into one category and gave the state more money and gave the state more flexibility. So if we have a particular program that's working well in the state, we can take that money and put it in that program as opposed to being mandated to do several other programs that don't work for the state.
What's your biggest problem with the teachers union over this?
Well, my biggest problem with the teachers union is they've all along been against No Child Left Behind, and I think it's become very partisan. We dealt with Goals 2000 when the Clinton administration was in, and there was no complaints about Goals 2000. All of a sudden, we come in with a president that is ambitious in closing the achievement gap, and all of a sudden it cuts across territories and it deals with issues that haven't been dealt with before, and it becomes very partisan, and so you get this lawsuit that comes out.
Well, it's change, and change comes slowly sometimes.
It does.
Now, you've passed out 56 bills out of your committee.
We have.
Between health care, mental health care, doctors, hospitals. What do you see really is becoming law this time?
Well,
and what's important, I guess, to you at this point?
Well, our committee deals with a vast array of issues: healthcare, education. We even deal with fire issues. So there's a lot of education bills that have come out that I think are going to be very important. We've shored up charter schools. We've dealt with paraprofessionals, making sure that there's opportunities for teachers that are well versed in core subjects having the opportunity to teach. We dealt with a voucher issue that's in No Child Left Behind, making sure that those schools that don't meet and improvement or succeeded after the 4th year, that children have options to go to different schools. We've dealt with issues concerning teacher pay incentive for those teachers that are willing to stay at-risk schools and help them improve and make their AYP. We've dealt with the mental health.
By the way, what kind of incentive did you put in there?
Well, actually, we kind of got away from the credit, the retirement credit, and actually gave them bonuses and actual pay and actual money within their paycheck to stay there.
And it sounds like they're allowing flexibility on site, so that actually administrators can look at what their teachers need. If it's a housing support or retirement, it kind of gives them some flexibility, which is nice.
Right, it's kind of a smorgasbord, so you can select or choose whatever's going to best meet your needs. So that's kind of nice. It kind of mirrors what the governor had proposed in the state of the state. We dealt with the mental health issue. Of course, it's a big crisis down south, and we're kind of looking at it up north. That even though we're a little bit better set than southern Nevada, but trying to put some money in the mental health issue, dealing with presumptive eligibility, opening up some more acute beds for.
What kind of funding? Are you matching the governor's funding level on that?
Well, actually, we kind of exceeded the governor's funding on that one, especially with the presumed eligibility for SIS patients, which is supplementary social income. The price tag could be up to about $30 billion or million. I'm sorry. So it's pretty steep. If you take the presumptive eligibility out of it, it's probably about 17.
Now, the Assembly Republicans all voted against those 3 hospital bills that were coming out. If you followed those, they'll be coming to your committee next.
Right.
But they came as a block in opposition to those bills, and the Democrats are claiming it'll lower health care costs. But do you see that really is happening?
I don't really think so, but we're going to take a serious look at the bills when they come across, and we'll weigh them for their merits, and then we'll deal with them accordingly.
Okay, let's talk about water issues. Water was a big election issue. It was discussed as going to be one of the biggest topics here at the legislature, and very few of the bills have survived. Yours is one of the only ones. What do you think its chances of continuing to survive?
Well, we're working on it. I spoke with the chair, Barbara Sagaski, about my bill. And my bill is a little bit different because it creates an ongoing statutory committee. Like we have health care and education and child and family issues. It's an ongoing committee during the interim. And the intent of it is to look at the water issues as a statewide proposition: importation, deportation, interbasin transfers, water rights, surface water exploration, so that the state has a better idea of what's going on with its water. And you know as well as I do that water is is precious. Without water, there's no economic growth. There's no growth within the state. And we're only the only state in the western region that doesn't really deal with its neighbors at the table. We send everybody else, SNWA, CRC, Tumwa, but the state as a whole doesn't really sit down at the table and deal with other states when it comes to water.
Okay, you want to put odds on the survival of this bill? We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Something spectacular has taken wing not far from Reno or Lake Tahoe, and never far from your mind. An escape of fine dining and legendary golf. Introducing the resort at Red Hawk. And at the center of it all, we've feathered our nest with new villas that have elevated Red Hawk to the status of a premier resort. The Resort at Red Hawk, a beautiful new arrival in northern Nevada.
So, who do you use for workers' comp?
Pro Group Management.
I've heard some good things about them.
Oh, you bet. Employee background checks, safety training, claim seminars. Oh, and here's the great part. If you have an issue, they work for you, not against you.
Sounds perfect. And expensive.
Well, that's the best part. They saved me 30%. I've heard they've saved others 50%.
Works for me. Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
If it's fun, it's here at the Pepper Mill, the $100,000 video-themed slot celebration, with more winners each week, 100 random winners every Monday and Wednesday, and more cash prizes. $6,000 random drawings every Friday, plus chances to win up to $1,000 in free slot play on Mr. Money's Challenge. You'll have more fun with the Pepper Mill's video-themed slot celebration, now worth over $100,000.
The slots that rock are at the Pepper Mill. Where are you winning?
Thanks to an ongoing commitment by America's mining companies, more than 2 million acres already have been reclaimed. To learn more about reclamation or other aspects of mining, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we welcome our pundit panel today, and we're joined by Liz MacMenamin, who is with the Retail Association of Nevada, one of our proud sponsors. Pleasure to have you here. First time appearance from Kirsten Searer, who is a political reporter with the Las Vegas Sun, and we use your paper and your stories for sources many times, and we appreciate you being here. And Martha Gould, who's a Washoe County Democrat. I want to start with you, Kirsten. You wrote a story yesterday about hospitals unhappy about legislation that the Assembly Democrats say would lower patient costs, but the hospitals are not pleased at all. Would you give us a little background on this?
Basically, there's a couple of bills that would require hospitals to report more on how much they make, how much they charge patients, anything from a blood draw to a brain scan. And basically, the Democrats are saying that 80% of our beds are out-of-state beds, and we don't know how much they're sending to their out-of-state companies. And so to get a handle on why Nevada has one of the higher hospital cost rates in the country, we need to figure out what they're charging and how much they're making.
Okay, but they also want to put some taxes on them too, correct?
Well, they want to ensure that they're reinvesting money into the community, and a bill by Speaker Perkins would require them to reinvest 4% of their revenues. Now, hospitals say that that's just crazy, that they already reinvest lots of money, and that they're talking about 4% of revenues instead of 4% of profits. And you have to realize that a lot of, especially in Southern Nevada, a lot of hospitals are spending a huge amount of money in building new hospitals. They're keeping up with growth. So their revenue may not be as high as you would think it would be.
Doesn't sound real business friendly, Liz.
No, it doesn't, but it doesn't surprise me a bit on that side of the house right now. But I have talked to some of the hospital lobbyists that are here, and yes, they're having a real hard time with this. They're feeling very attacked. However, this sounds very similar to what they asked the banks to do, to reinvest in the community. However, that's on a federal level. Well, let's look at this. I'm sorry, I don't think that the hospitals have that kind of money to put into the community that over and above what they're already doing. I'd like to...
So is this the business decession, the one that's getting picked on this time, unlike like the banks last year?
Maybe so. Maybe it's the hospital's time. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, where did this come from? I mean, is there consensus in the community that there's not adequate care going on, or?
No, it came from the crisis in Southern Nevada earlier this year, when it was, I think, about 300,000 hospital workers couldn't negotiate a plan with the hospitals. I mean, all those people almost went without hospital coverage. I mean, definitely the hospital costs in Nevada are high. I don't think anybody is denying that. I think the question is why, and what do you do about it?
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because we're talking about the hospitals, the revenues, et cetera, and I want to look at it from the point of view of the patient. Hello, hospitals are supposed to be serving the health needs of a community, and it seems to me that I read in the paper not too long ago that Washoe Medical Center had one of their highest revenue and profit years. So I have difficulty in government saying you have to do certain things to a private enterprise. On the other hand, hospital costs and medical costs in the state are out of sight. And in the end, it's not so much the hospitals, but the individuals that need medical and health care who carry the burden.
And in the Northern Nevada situation there, Washoe Medical Center picked up a couple of large contracts from St. Mary's that really hurt St. Mary's, but benefited Washoe. But as you said, Kirsten, they keep building more hospitals to keep up with the growth, but nobody's making any money. I don't know how that happens.
Well, somebody has to be making money. Come on. They're not going to be building like that if there wasn't a revenue stream somewhere. You know it, and I know it.
Well, and speaking of making money, I was actually surprised at how much has been spent this session. Lobbyists have spent $126,000 so far this session. And last session, which was the special session that went even longer, they only spent $93,000. So what's different this session, as I look to the lobbyists down there, that's requiring so much expenditures?
Actually, I think they've had more time on their hands in the beginning of the session.
More time to party.
More time to party, I do believe, because as you know, it started off slow. And there was a lot of time. And there has been some extravagant galas, I should say, that have been put on for the benefit of lobbying the legislators.
Do you think people need to make amends after last session? Do people coming back doing some mea culpas?
Well, you know, maybe some of them. However, I guess basically the Retail Association doesn't do a great deal of spending during the session time. So if the others that are out there spending this kind of money feel like they do mea culpas, well, I wonder what they did.
Yeah, exactly. It's true.
My question is a very simple one. Who's running the legislature?
Yeah.
The elected officials or the lobbyists?
Well, if you look at the pay scale that people have been talking about, who has the money? I mean, lobbyists are making a lot more per session than a legislator is. So.
And this takes back to something else, and that is that we have a citizen legislature, and they work for 120 days, and they're only paid for 60. Now, what's wrong with that picture?
Oh, we have always advocated for better pay for the legislators. I'm sorry, they're taking this time out of their life to spend here trying to come up with good laws, good regulations for the citizens. So no, we have always advocated for that. However, you know, I agree but I do think that the place for the lobbyist is for educating legislators because they are citizens. And some of the issues,
educating, yes. Writing legislation, no.
No, I happen to agree with you on that, Martha.
Kirsten, I want to give you the last shot here. You put out a story on all the bills that were rushed to get out to meet the deadline. Just give me the one that surprised you the most that actually got out.
Wow.
Putting her on the spot.
I'd have to say, actually, this might be a cop-out, but I don't think any of them were really that surprising. There's a couple that didn't get out that were a little surprising. Stephen Horsford had a bill that would make it easier for ex-felons to get their voting rights reinstated. That went up for vote twice, I believe, and was 10-10 both times.
And Martha Stewart was lobbying very strongly for that. So we'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the world's largest industrial park, the resort at Red Hawk, and the Peppermill family of casinos.
High-tech companies demand perfect world amenities. They require clean, reliable power, state-of-the-art fiber optic communications, and clean water sources. In a perfect world, companies would have immediate access to rail and interstate freeways. There would be 4-lane expressways that shorten shipping times and provide convenient commute routes for valued employees. Well, the future is now, and it's here. Welcome to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the largest industrial park in the world, building economic prosperity for Nevadans.
Your best value in sight is here for you to see. From frames to lenses to eye exams, you're covered A to Z. Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
Davis Optical Centers, with 2 locations in Reno and Sparks.
Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
And coming up next week from the state capitol?
Well, we have an entire show of Governor Gwynn, and we also have Assembly Speaker Richard Perkins.
We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.